Welcome to Finding Certainty with your host and U.S. Army veteran, Patrick Laing. Over the next hour, you'll learn from Patrick and his expert guests how to attract more certainty into your business and your life. Now, here is your host, Patrick Laing.
Welcome to Finding Certainty, everyone. If you're a new listener, we appreciate you stopping by. And if you're a frequent visitor, thank you for your loyalty and your patronage. We really appreciate it. Very pleased today to have a good friend of mine as our guest, Mr. Savanh. I'll tell you what, guys, you are in for a treat. Cease has spent the last almost 20 years now developing and selling several 7-digit businesses. Even you have an 8-digit company now that you have built, developed, and sold 6 of those. And so if you're interested in scaling your business and taking it to the next level, I mean, the percentages are pretty staggering. Cease was just telling me before we started that only 6.3% of businesses in America ever break that $1 million mark. And he's done it 6 times. So we're talking to an expert here. Cease, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to be here.
It's our pleasure. So I always start out the show just sharing a couple of reasons why I've invited this specific guest to join us. And first and foremost, just as I mentioned, Cease is an expert in his field, and he's not only proven this model that he now teaches to others and how to develop a 7-figure company, but he's done it in multiple industries. So it's not just all digital marketing or all in real estate or something. He's actually proven again and again and again in a variety of spaces how to do it and how to do it well. And so that's the first reason I wanted to invite Cease on here. Secondly, he and his wife have figured out a way to do business from anywhere in the world. They travel a lot. They have time freedom and time with their family and the ability to serve and give back, which they're doing as well. And, so not only have they figured out how to create that success, but they've figured out a way how to do it without it consuming your life and destroying your marriage and et cetera, et cetera. And that's a big step because those two don't always go hand in hand, if you know what I mean. So am I on the right track, Cease? Does that sound like a pretty good description of you and Phyllis and what you guys are doing?
Most definitely, because you're right, it does not go hand in hand, and it didn't go hand in hand for us as well at the very beginning, right? So that's ultimately, that's why we made it such a point to run our businesses systematically and most importantly with leverage, where we can leverage people, leverage systems, and leverage, ultimately, other people around us that they're a couple steps ahead of us. And then using all those 3 leverages, we now can run a business successfully and model after success, leverage a team, leverage processes, allows us to kind of go where we want, when we want. You're absolutely right.
I mean, quality of life is ultimately what we're looking for. I mean, our show is called Finding Certainty, right?
Yeah.
We want to find certainty in our personal lives, in our business lives. And as entrepreneurs, we live this life on this edge, right? Where we could fall off either side.
Yeah.
And one of the hardest things to do is to find that balance and create those systems that enable us to do exactly that. Well, that's what you've done. You've done it repeatedly. So, and to a level and at such a degree that you're now teaching others how to do it, traveling all over the country, doing exactly that. So I'm very excited to hear what you have to share with our listeners today.
Yes.
So I know you're from Laos, is that right? Originally?
Yeah, I was born in Laos, but I pretty much grew up in the United States. I came here when I was 4 years old, 79. Me and my mom threw me on her back and swam across the Mekong River with me, my sister, and my brother.
Wow.
And a couple of gentlemen that helped us cross that night. Just like many families back in those days, if you read about what happened in Laos during those times, East Asia, we would swim across, or canoe across the Mekong River to get to Thailand, because then we would be free. So, but most nights during the times that we did it, people were getting shot at, and water patrols would come by, and so that happened to us, and our canoe flipped, and we swam across, made it to Thai border and Thai land, and the Thai military grabbed us, and we were safe and stayed at a refugee camp. But but for me, I grew up in the U.S. I mean, that I was so young that I'm I consider myself an American. I am a citizen, but ultimately, Laos is just where I was born.
Sure.
So
sure. Yeah. Well, what an experience. I mean, even at 4 years old, I'm sure you have memories that
totally
have contributed to who you are and helped form your opinions and impressions.
Yeah. I
mean, when I was a kid, I lived in New Zealand as a child. We lived down there for only 2 or 3 years when I was, 4 or 5. And even though it was a short time and I lived most of my life here in the U.S., it really impacted me. I mean, coming from somewhere, but even living somewhere overseas and living in a different country and different culture. And I remember the first day I went to school, I wore blue jeans and cowboy boots, and they sent me home with a note stuck to my shirt that said, "Please come in shorts and sandals." And then 2 years later, I went back to the States and went to school in shorts and sandals, and they sent me home with another note saying, "Please don't come to school in shorts and sandals."
Right. Yeah.
So you did you immigrate to Texas originally? I know you live in Dallas now, but is that where you started, or did you start somewhere else?
No, I grew up actually most of the time. I grew up most of my life was in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh wow!
So it was real strategic, where they were placing East Asian immigrants back then. Huge population in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and some in Texas and California. Because they did during that whole after the Vietnam War era, they placed East Asian immigrants all over the U.S. just to see how they would adapt and the cultures and all that stuff. They found that Minnesota was very nice and very easy transition, even though it was cold. But yeah, that's where I grew up. Most of my life was went to school there, went to college there. A lot of my family still lives in Minnesota. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like Minnesota. Great people up there. A lot of really nice people. A lot of lakes. I'm
a lot of lakes. So. Yeah, a lot of lakes.
So when did you relocate to Dallas from Minnesota?
So I left Minnesota in 2005. I actually went to Florida first. I went to open up my venture into becoming an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So December 2005, I opened up my very first sales company. That was in Tampa, Florida.
Gotcha.
And we were actually we got a contract. One of my very first things I was proud of was I went to get a contract for a company called Quill Office Products. They were a division of Staples back then.
Sure, and I know who Quill is.
Yeah, we were training salespeople to actually go business to business, small businesses, and essentially acquire them to use Quill as a office buyer. Nice. We did very, very well. We grew it so fast the first year. And then about a year and a half later from there, I got another contract with AT&T, and I moved a few of my guys to California, and we grew that business as well. And we literally went from 5 guys to almost 300 sales reps in the field a year and a half later.
Wow.
7 offices in southern Northern California. We were consistently battling for the number one vendor for AT&T every single week. So we were definitely just crushing it. So built that up for 2009 and sold both businesses and exited out and came to Texas in 2009. That's where I ended up in Dallas to start my own security firm, electronic security. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I love stories, and I have a lot of guests on my show who they started with nothing, right? And they've built up their story, they've built up their success and their experience. Lots of failure, lots of hurdles, peaks and valleys, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I don't think anyone just has an easy road. Unless maybe it was handed to them, but even then, we all make mistakes and we all figure it out as we go along. And most of us, as we are doing that, we're hopefully being mentored by someone. So often we're doing it on our own and just trying to figure it out. But one of the keys, obviously, is to have great mentors and have great coaches helping us along the way. And so, as you were doing, I mean, you had great success even with your first venture. But did you did you and your wife figure it out all alone, or were you married then, or was it just you at first, or did you have a mentor that helped you get there?
Yeah, we got into mentoring right away. I mean, when we started our sales company for Quill, obviously they had other vendors, that other people who had already been doing it. And right away, we reached out to the top offices that were already vendors for them and had contracts with them. And we learned right away. We didn't position ourselves as their competition. We just positioned ourselves as another office that represented Quill. So we reached out to the top 5 offices right away and learned from them. And then even some of them, we decided to ask them for mentoring and coaching. And the great part is when you're around people who are really doing well, they're very humble. You'll find that they're very humble. So it was very easy to ask for advice, and they were actually surprised that we called, right? And that we asked for help and we asked for guidance, and what would they do what did they do when they were in our shoes, when they opened their first office up and had 3 guys to start, and how did they grow it to 30 or 40 sales reps? And they were surprised, but at the end of the day, they were so humble to teach and to share, and which was amazing. You'll find that those who are really just doing really well, they tend to want to give back and contribute.
Isn't that true? I've experienced 100%. The same. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm a huge advocate of mentors, coaches, consultants. I'm a big believer in hiring professionals to do what professionals do, because we can't be all things to all people, right? Nobody can. We talk about jacks of all trades, but that's really a misnomer. I think there's very few people who are really good at multiple things.
Yeah.
And those who truly succeed have usually surrounded themselves with a team or a tribe that are better than them at things, right? And so I'm impressed that you did that. And I'm not surprised that they were surprised, because many times people don't do that. They try to figure it out on their own and stumble and fall. They're either too proud or too stupid to try to actually ask for help.
Yeah.
And they're really missing out. I mean, it's one of the fastest ways, one of the best ways to shorten your learning curve and get there faster, right?
Yeah, people just need to get away. Sometimes it's pride, just like you just said. But the other thing I notice is some people, the reason why they don't ask for help is they actually see that as a sign of weakness. In reality, It's not. It's the opposite. It's actually a sign of strength that you're able to, it's like, that one of the people I really learned from in my early ages as an entrepreneur is Dr. John Maxwell. He talks about stay in your strength zone. And why work on your weaknesses when you actually can stay in, most people want to work on their weaknesses. Why do that? He says, work at, strengthen, stay in your strength zone, and then hire people or leverage people that are actually better than you, the things you're weak, and let them do that. Right. And that's it. And that I learned that early age, and I just started doing that. Things I was not good at, I didn't want to work on them whatsoever. I hired people, or I hired a coach or somebody or hired a company that actually I can leverage, and right away, so I spend time where I'm great at. So
totally agree, 100%. It's interesting because 2 things come out of that, right? You talk about leverage, and I think some people hear that word leverage and they think it's manipulative. We're taking advantage of someone, but that's not it at all. You're combining your skills and your strengths, and together it's like a lever when you're trying to lift something, right? You can lift a car if you have a big steel stake, a steel post and something to use as a lever. And so it's just strengthening your efforts by using those principles, right? That's a physics principle, but this is a principle that it rarely fails. I mean, sure, there are partnerships that don't work and so forth, and vendors that disappoint us and so forth, but it is so important because it combines our efforts and strengthens and creates that additional lever, as you say.
Yeah, and you create opportunity when you do that for other people, right? For other people to grow their businesses and do what they're great at. Right. And then you do what you're great at. And then it honestly, it impacts the world much better and faster, more efficient.
Well, that's exactly it. Right. Not only do you accomplish more, but I think you enjoy it more. I mean, talking about staying in your strength zone, that was the second point I was going to make, is that if you're doing what you're passionate about and letting others do the things you don't enjoy, you don't even feel like you're working. I mean, I heard a quote the other day that said an entrepreneur is the only person who will work 100 hours a week to not have to work 40 hours a week. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little bit facetious, but it's if you are doing what you love, you get up and you don't even feel like you're going to work. I mean,
100%.
Yeah, I've heard people say, and I think I even heard you say once in one of the conference you spoke of, that when you work, you don't. You
love what you do. You love it. Yeah, you love what you do. You don't feel like you never work a day in your life. That's basically it. So for sure. Easy.
And it's not only more enjoyable, but it is invariably more enduring. It lasts longer, and it gets you where you want to go. So
totally.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the other businesses you've done. I know you're a coach, you're a trainer, you have a done-for-you online digital marketing business where you help people really create their entire campaign, their funnels, their systems, as it were, for marketing their business or their program. How'd you get from the sales and marketing to where you are today? I know you did some other things as well, real estate and some other things. So.
Yeah, so we did real estate, and then we exited out of that, and we wanted to get back into the people business. So we went from people to an actual product like real estate, right? Buying properties. And we realized that our true love is actually people, right? So how can we develop people? How can we help people? How can we build teams and organizations? So we got back into that. And really just kind of stumbled on the done-for-you service. We needed to solve our own problem first, right? So as we transition all our businesses online, we said, well, we need funnels, right? So we built our own, and we learned how to do that, and we got coaching for that as well. We got involved with different masterminds and products that actually taught us how to do that, how to be a digital and online marketer, or marketing online, I should say, right? So we solved our own problem, and then we found out that other people had these same problems that we ran into. So we said, wow, why don't we deliver this? Why don't we share that we can actually do this for people? So we started building sales funnels for people, all kinds of people, realtors, investors, coaches, consultants, insurance agents, anybody who had a service business, wanted to create courses and all that stuff, wanted to build their own coaching program, consulting program. So we got into that. And how we actually got into, and then we built a virtual assistance company. My wife owns that, and she started basically saying that if business owners really want the freedom, we got to leverage, right? So we've been working with our own virtual assistant for over 10 years. And we said, well, we're an expert at every business we've owned. We always had virtual assistants there to build our companies with us. Why not teach them people how to do this? So we started teaching that, and then business owners started coming to us, asking us to hire their own VAs for them. And so we went down that road, and that became a huge success, and still a huge success. Right. And then my latest company, my coaching company, my training company, started really because as we were doing all this work for people, we started seeing patterns that they actually needed additional training, even though they were coming for us for funnels. They needed to know. A lot of them came to us, didn't even know who their ideal client was, what their offer was, what their messaging was like, what funnel they should use, and ultimately how to drive traffic, how to market and drive traffic so that people actually can see what they've created. Right. So we said, man, if this is the pattern, we might as well teach people how to do this as well. So that's kind of how we got started in the training and coaching and mentoring space as well.
Well, I love your story, C's, because you see it building upon itself, right? You started with sales and marketing, which is core, of course, to the success of any business. Then you worked in real estate and products, which is a different animal. You have to kind of approach it a different way. And then you just have continued to evolve and talk about leverage. I mean, I want to talk more about the virtual assistant business. And I think we definitely need to have Phyllis on the show again. And we do a whole episode just on that. But you hit the nail on the head, though, is customers want freedom, right? They want, I say certainty, but they want freedom. They want time freedom. They want control. Yeah. They want to have a life. But to do so, they have to implement systems. And that's exactly what you're talking about. So we're going to go to our first break here. We're talking with C. Savanh. He's a founder and CEO of the Savanh Family LLC and the 7 Figures Expert Academy. So when we get back, we're going to talk more about what that looks like and how you're not only blessing your life, but blessing lots of other lives too. So
yeah.
Thanks again for being here, Cease. Don't go away, everybody. We'll be right back.
Follow Voice America at facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
Certainty Management can help create more certainty in your life with our deep discount health insurance options, even for 1099s, part-time employees, volunteers, and more. Pay less to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your team. Call 888-684-3122 for a free quote today. That's 888-684-3122. Visit us on the web at CertaintyTeam.com. That's Certainty, TEAM, like Mary.com.
If you're a nonprofit in need of funding, we can help. Certainty Management is a cost reduction firm that also helps churches, schools, sports teams, and other nonprofits raise unlimited zero-cost funding. Best of all, you don't have to sell anything or ask for donations. Call 888-684-3122 to learn more today. That's 888-684-3122. Visit us on the web at CertaintyTeam.com. That's Certainty, TEAM, like Mary.com.
When it comes to business, you'll find the experts here. Voice America Business Network.
You are listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Laing. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
We're back. Thanks for being with us here on Finding Certainty. We're visiting with Savanh, seven-figure business builder, and you've built and sold 6 different companies at over $1 million. And that's an extraordinary accomplishment, Cease. I mean, for someone to do it even once is an accomplishment. It's a very small percentage, less than 10% here in the nation that ever even hit that level, right? You've done it 6 times. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear a little bit more about how you feel like you did that, because one thing I've learned is that no matter your business, no matter the trade or the space you're in, there are definite principles that apply. And if you apply them, they will work over and over and over again. And I know you agree with that, right?
Yes.
So we were talking over the break about how you went 30 days trying to figure out how to cup ramen in different ways.
Yeah.
It was tied. This was when you were down in Tampa and running your sales organization until it really took off. And I think most entrepreneurs can relate to that. I mean, it's very few that start out with, deep pockets and without some stress, and some worries. And as you've built your companies over the last 19 years to where you are today, is there a lesson or two that stands out in your mind that you wish you'd learned at the beginning, would have helped as you were progressing and stumbling and figuring it out? Is there a lesson or two that you could share with the listeners that you think was most impactful?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is you just, first off, never forget where you came from, right? We did. I mean, me and my wife didn't have money. We built it from scratch. We built it without outside funding, no VC, no lending. We were so new, right? So we built it we strapped on our boots and went to work, right? When I built my sales company, I didn't hire people, train them in the classroom, and send them to the field. I hired them, trained them in the classroom, and then went to the field with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Went to knock those doors and did those sales and created the sales scripts from my own success and learned from my own failures and all those things. And then obviously from coaching. So first thing is just never forget where you came from. Yeah, there was a point in our career that we were so broke that for 30 days, we bought a 30 pack of ramen. That's how I knew it was 30 days. It was 30 pack of ramen that came in 10 in each row. And I love to cook, but we were so broke that we had to cook with what we had. I literally cooked it with all kinds of stuff. Right? I cooked it with hot dogs. Some days I had cooked it with eggs, and sometimes I did it dry. Sometimes I did it, with soup. Sometimes I did it with, all kinds of different things, different ways to get us by. So we don't forget that, right? We don't forget those days. And then at the same time, the second thing is you're always in the people business, right? Some people say, "Oh, I'm in B2B or B2C." No, you're in the people business. You're in the people to people business, right? If you treat your team well, if you treat your clients well, you treat your vendors well that you buy stuff from, people are going to remember you. They're going to want to do business with you, right? And when all of our vendors wanted to open up different territories, sometimes we weren't the best in terms of sales as far as numbers, but they knew that we were the highest quality, and we had the highest values that align with them. Sometimes they wanted to open office with us because they know that when we would go to that market, we would hire people and duplicate ethics and values, right? That they wouldn't let another high performing office open up because they wanted to make sure to protect that market from fraud and things like that. So that's, to me, that's the third thing, is just really integrity, and run your company with values, like a guiding north, right? Just have that in place, have your vision in place, have your mission in place, have your values in place, have your identity in place, of your business and yourself. And your business is an extension of you, and you are an extension of your business.
It's really great advice, Cease. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I love your comment about remembering who you are and where you're from. I mentioned, I actually think that many times someone who has immigrated to the U.S. from another country has an advantage over those. There's disadvantage, there's challenges, but you have an advantage. I know you grew up here for most of your life, but you still had an appreciation for what it was like to not live in the U.S., to not have these freedoms and these opportunities. And so you didn't take it for granted. I mean, I think sometimes we grew up here, we've been here our whole life. I see the same thing in our church. I grew up in the church, and there are members that take it for granted. They don't appreciate what it was like to not have it. And that's a really important insight. So if you don't have that, how do you gain that appreciation? How do you not take it for granted? I think you have to, first and foremost, you have to determine what your why is. I mean, what are you working for? Right.
Correct.
And secondly, I think you got to dream, you got to write it down. And, what is your why, but also what is your where? Where are you headed? Where do you want to go? And so that's really great. I completely agree with integrity and the principles. But then as you create that foundation, right, you've done a great job. You have a phenomenal reputation. People are constantly coming to you and saying, how can we do what you've done? How can we learn from you? I think the next step, though, is to implement the systems that you're referring to. And as you teach your students, and as you coach and train your clients, you have the Seven Figures Expert Academy. What are some of those systems that you're teaching your clients how to use and how to implement?
Totally. As an entrepreneur, right? Every single one of you guys on this call, or aspiring entrepreneurs, if you really want to be successful, your job is two things: is to get clients and keep clients. That's it, right? Because if you wake up doing just those two things, understanding that your job is to get clients, and then when they do business with you, they say yes to you, is keeping clients, serving them, making sure that you deliver right on your promises. That's it. Outside of all of that is just busy work, right? And this is where a lot of people fail. This is why they fail, because they spend so much time doing busy work. Think about this. If you want to generate a seven-figure business, if you work 40 hours a week, you're worth $500 an hour. That's how I look at it, right? So why do the $5 per hour or $8 per hour thing? You could just hire somebody to do that, so that you can spend your time doing the $500 per hour activity that will move the needle in your company. So for me, every business has three parts, and you want to chunk it down, right? It's got marketing, getting people to actually see what you created, your program, yourself. That's it, right? Marketing, advertising, driving traffic. The second part is sales, right? Actually converting, actually doing sales, actually training sales, or actually talking to clients to acquire them. And then the third part is supporting and serving your clients. That's it, right? It's very simple. Outside of that, all the other stuff is just things that you could just leverage and hire people to do. So if you're an entrepreneur, your job is to send, how can I wake up and get people to see what I've created? What can I shoot a video? Should I record a webinar? Should I run an ad, right? Should I, whatever. And then when they come in, how do I sell them? Do I want to do a live challenge, live webinar, or send people to watch a video, an on-demand video, right? And then, when you acquire them, how can I add value to people, and how can I continuously build rapport, stay in contact with my ideal clients, my clients who already said yes to me? How can I serve them so that they can continue doing business with me, right? That I can make them more offers, or if you have a continuity program, like a membership, how can they if you build rapport and add value to them continuously, they're going to renewal, right? The membership, because they're making progress and they're becoming successful. That's it. Very simple. Business is that simple, but we are the ones that make it complicated, so.
I agree with you, Cease. There's something to be said about what I refer to as reciprocity. In fact, the very first show we did here, we talked about how it is the secret to success in business. And ultimately, it's about trust moving in both directions. Right?
Right.
Customers have to trust you. You have to earn that trust, and you have to show trust for them. And it becomes this reciprocal relationship. If it's one-sided, if it's all take and no give, in either direction, right? We've all let go customers who were just not good customers. They were sucking our time and our energy and not giving in return. And so if you have that balanced reciprocal relationship, that's where it starts to get fun and can be very profitable.
Totally.
So besides that, as you've developed into becoming a coach and a trainer, as you see customers coming to you for your 7 Figures Expert Academy, why are they coming? Well, what's the feedback you're hearing that they're looking to accomplish?
Yeah, so when we our done for you service really helped us build our 7 Figures Expert Academy, because we started seeing these patterns. One of the things I learned from Tony Robbins is first pattern you see is you pattern recognition, and then you how can you create new patterns, right? And then utilize that pattern, right? Pattern utilization. So I started recognizing these patterns that they would get super excited, right? They want to launch their coaching business or consulting business or create a course, or they have a insurance agency they want to launch and they want to take it online, whatever. And, oh man, I heard this thing about sales funnels. Can you guys build one for me? And we're like, yeah, sure. And then we started building these sales funnels, and we started realizing that a lot of them didn't know who their ideal client was, right? Like they didn't understand their ideal client. They didn't know who they were, what their problems and challenges were, what they want, all those things. They also didn't know what their offer was most of the time, or how to price their offer, what their, what their value ladder was. They didn't definitely, if they don't know that, then they had really unclear messaging. Right. And then the fourth thing is they didn't know what sales funnels, was really, and what type of sales funnels they should be using. And then the fifth is they didn't really know how to drive traffic. So when they come to us now, when we create our 7 Figures Expert Academy, if you really look what I just talked about, those 5 areas in every business, once you know who your ideal client is, who you should be selling to and serving, then you can actually, and their problems and challenges. The second thing is then you can know what type of offer to create for them, right? Instead of just creating products and services and trying to sell that, why not find out who your ideal client is, find out what they want first, and then give it to them, and then create the offer to give it to them. And then once you know that, then you can create clear messaging, right? And then once you get clear messaging, then you can drive traffic to a sales funnel or something that's, automate or even live, like a challenge, things like that, right, to do. And then ultimately your job as a business owner, once you have all that set up, is your job is to market. Your job is to drive traffic. This is where 90% of businesses fail, because they fail to market. They fail to get people to see what they've created, right? They spend so much time on their products and services. Get all that done, get that done fast. And then your job now is to drive traffic and deliver value, right? That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about not just building a company, but scaling a company.
Yeah.
You've proven how to do that. You've learn those systems? I know you're a big ClickFunnels fan. I've seen the pictures of you with your 2 Comma Club awards and things like that with Russell Brunson. That's a very small percentage that ever get that plaque.
Totally. 5%, as a matter of fact.
Is that right?
That's only 5%. Yeah,
that's impressive. I'm a big fan of ClickFunnels. I think it's the easiest funnel system. It's robust, but it's very user friendly, very easy to use, and yet there's a lot to it. So hiring someone like you, and I know you approach it in 2 different ways, right? You'll teach someone how to do it on their own, and a little bit bigger investment that you'll actually do it for them. And so, what percentage fall in one or 2 of those camps, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so when we started Done For You, really love it. I do love it. But then I started realizing that a lot of these business owners, then I started getting to coaching them on their business, right? And it worked. So basically they became better Done For You clients because we coached them on their business. Because the ones that we didn't coach at the very beginning, we were trying to do things for them, and a lot of projects were like not finished because a lot of times we were waiting on them to get us stuff that we need from them, right? Their messaging and all that stuff. Yeah. So then we said, wow, why don't we just create a coaching package, coach them on this stuff, get them to know their ideal client, their offers and all these things, so that the Done For You service can actually move along faster, which it did. But then I realized, man, well, this is the pattern I recognize, and why don't I teach it, right? Instead of doing one-on-one clients, why don't we one-to-many? I want to be in a room and impact more people. So right now our business is basically flipped. I would say about 80-85% is actually teaching, which is what I really love, because then I can impact more people. And with what we're teaching, they literally can do it on their own. We want them to be able to do it on their own. We don't want them to rely on us. But then a small percentage, about 10 or 15%, after we teach them, now they're an educated buyer. They know the value, and they actually know how to do it on their own. They actually come to us and say, even though that was great, we want to do it, but we don't want to do it on our own. Can you do it for us? Right. So about 10 or 15% are actually Done For You clients. The rest are all now teaching with our coaching clients. Yeah. So
that's interesting because, it's the old teach a man to fish concept, right?
Yeah.
You can give a man a fish or teach a man to fish, and you'll feed him for his life or her. But I'm sure there are customers who they're just so busy. This is not their passion. They're passionate about plumbing or passionate about,
they're the artists most of the time. Right? Yeah, most of the time they're artists. Yeah, they're technicians or artists. Yeah.
They want to paint that next house or whatever it is, and knowing that they have that choice though, because there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are very proactive and very driven, and they're looking for ways to save money and so forth. So if you can teach them, they can do it on their own. They'll go do it. I'm not surprised 85% of them are opting that direction. But speaking of leverage, if you can speak to a room of hundreds or even thousands and teach them all how to do it, now you're truly accomplishing your objective, which I know is to give back. And that's a big part of who Cease and Phyllis are. Is you've been very blessed. Obviously, you've worked for it, but now you're paying it forward. Yeah. I'm a huge believer of life gives more to what gives more to life. And it just works that way. So, I couldn't agree more. That's actually a good place for us to go to our next break, because I want to come back and talk a little bit about some of the ways you are giving back. I know you do a lot for underprivileged children and others, and so let's touch a little bit on that. Maybe talk a little bit more about the VA business, because that's one more way to leverage and one more way to bless the lives of your clients. Because time is our rarest commodity, right? If we have more time, we have more quality of life. We can focus on those things that will make us more money and give us more satisfaction. And so we're up against our next break, everybody. We're visiting with Savanh. I'm enjoying this conversation, my friend. But we will be right back, and we'll continue the conversation.
Great.
Voice America is on LinkedIn. Connect with us today.
If you're a nonprofit in need of funding, we can help. Certainty Management is a cost reduction firm that also helps churches, schools, sports teams, and other nonprofits raise unlimited zero-cost funding. Best of all, you don't have to sell anything or ask for donations. Call 888-684-3122 to learn more today. That's 888-684-3122. Visit us on the web at CertaintyTeam.com. That's Certainty, T-E-A-M, like Mary.com.
Certainty Management can help create more certainty in your life with our deep discount health insurance options, even for 1099s, part-time employees, volunteers, and more. Pay less to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your team. Call 888-684-3122 for a free quote today. That's 888-684-3122. Visit us on the web at CertaintyTeam.com. That's Certainty, T-E-A-M, like Mary.com.
Voice America Business Network, the bottom line in business.
You're listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Laing. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're having a great conversation on this Friday morning with Savanh. He and his wife, Phyllis, have built and sold 6 7-figure companies. You now have really 3 or 4 additional companies that you're doing with your real estate investing and your coaching and training done for you, online digital marketing and funnel building, and your virtual assistant business. I just wonder how you keep track of it all.
Leverage, right?
You know, we were talking over the break about your wife's business, Phyllis, and
Yes.
And how you had a why, and you started to work with virtual assistants for your own business, and how that has evolved. Let's talk a little bit about that, because that's a really interesting story.
Yeah. So my wife is she was born in Malaysia, and her mom moved to Singapore, and her mom ended up opening up a maid agency in Singapore. So, and she still owns it today. So Phyllis grew up with maids around her. And so in Singapore, that's just the normal, where every house has a maid or 2 or sometimes 3. Mm-hmm. And the maids are live-in maids. And most of the maids that are live-in maids, they either come from like Burma or the Philippines or something like that. So she was already understand the culture of these moms would actually be away from their family and their children for a long period of time. Like, for example, Phyllis's maid, she was living with them for 5 years and she never went home. Wow. She never went home. Why? Because she had to do that. She had to work. And everything that she made in Singapore, she would send home and to provide for her family and the kids and her husband and all. They would not see their kids. Wow. So Phyllis is like, wow, you know, and so when she got into this VA business, she said, man, I can literally help Filipino moms stay home with their children. So instead of going to Singapore or Japan or something like that to work, why not create jobs in the Philippines so they can actually stay home and be with their children? So that was her main driving force behind all this. And then she started adding the Tony Robbins personal development side of it. She said, well, why don't we develop them at the same time? So part of what the clients get with the VA is they get a VA with a totally different state, totally different mindset. So she goes through a 30-day training program. So these VAs, first they come in for a job, but then they get this development too. So now their lives are being changed, their whole mindset, their state is changed, their whole outlook in life, the meaning of life changes, right, for them. Mm-hmm. And then the clients get this VA that just doesn't show up just for a paycheck. This VA shows up for basically a life. Like they literally said, I show up to work differently because this is what I do to provide for my family. 100%, right? And then now we've changed that VA side to being more like instead of calling them virtual assistants, we're actually calling them virtual partners. Because they do show up like they're partners in the company. It's insane, right?
I like that.
And they sometimes care more about your company than you do. Well, honestly, they do, right? And they're like my VAs. I have 10 VAs within my own personal company, and Phyllis has like 40. But ultimately, they're the ones getting on me to get stuff done, to get stuff for them. So they keep me on my toes, right? So yeah, pretty amazing.
They're your accountability buddies, huh?
Yeah, they are. They're really they're like, hey, I need this. We need this, because I tell them what we need to do. They know the direction, right? So that I give them the clarity, and they're the ones executing the tasks that need to be done, right? So.
Well, it's interesting because I think, we talked earlier about the importance of mentors who are shortening our learning curve and helping us avoid pitfalls, and yet having, I call them accountability buddies, but having somebody who holds us accountable and reminds us of things. I have an assistant who is remarkable, Jill McCauley. She's our director of admin, and she manages my email inboxes, and she reminds me of appointments, and she makes sure I'm seeing the things that are most pressing, and she's prioritizing, and she's coordinating, and she handles I used to have to do all my own YouTube videos and recaps, and she does all that for me now. And the value of having somebody who has your back like that is inestimable. I mean, it
100%.
is priceless, right?
Yeah.
The challenge for many of us, for myself included, is to actually utilize them like they want to be utilized. She's constantly telling me, give me more, I can do more, give me more. And so we have to learn how to delegate. We have to learn how to let go of control and have faith in them. And there's that reciprocal relationship again we were talking about.
Yeah.
So I bet you get a lot of feedback, positive feedback from your customers as they're coming out of your training and aligning with the VAs and the virtual partners. I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
Power in a word, right? There's such power in just our language. But I know you're getting a lot of positive feedback from it, winning awards even for what you all have done and are doing. So if you don't mind me asking, what is your favorite part of it all?
Is literally the impact, right? I mean, on my side of things, again, we got back into the people business, right? Like literally, at the end of the day, we forgot our ways, even us, right? To go back into we're in a people business. So for me, I love the fact that our students can come and learn in literally 3 days. They built their business, something they've never been able to do for sometimes years. Sometimes they've hired coaches directly that work with them one-on-one. But somehow when they come to our boot camp in 3 days, they have their business built. They know who their ideal client is. They know what their offer is. They know which funnel they should use. They have clear messaging, and then they learn how to drive traffic to their funnels. I pride myself in those 5 areas because I believe that if every business that is extremely successful, myself included, people on Russell stages, Tony Robbins, whatever it is, they have really mastered these 5 areas. And I made it my point to teach that, so that when somebody comes to my boot camp on day one, they're like a deer in the headlights on Thursday morning. By the time Saturday night the boot camp is done, they have confidence, they have certainty, they have reignited their motivation. A lot of them have, and they have crystal clear clarity that on Sunday morning or Monday morning when they wake up, all they have to do is execute, implement what they just learned over the weekend. That's it. So I love that. And then on the VA side, yes, we love the impact it's making on the Filipino virtual partners. They are changing their whole family tree, right? Because now their family used to struggle and all these things, and their state wasn't where it needed to be, their finances weren't where they need to be, but now they're impacting their family tree, their family history. They're moving. It's totally changing a lot of these families' trajectory.
Oh, yeah. It's generational.
Generational
communities, I'm sure.
And that
leaders and
they're leaders, learning, they're growing, and then our clients are the most as well. So our clients are now having more time, right? Since we're talking about freedom, why do you run business? To me, it's freedom. So freedom to me is being able to go where I want, when I want, stay as long as I want, and take as many people as I want. That's to me, that's freedom. And now our clients are actually getting that. They're actually getting time. They're buying back their time. And now they're staying on their strength zone, let their VAs work on the stuff that they're weakest at. Huge.
I love that. If every entrepreneur out there could spend all their time on what they're good at and happy and passionate about,
yeah,
I mean, there'd be a lot more happy people out there, right? And there would be a lot more 7-figure businesses.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If you're listening to this episode, guys, this is so integral. In fact, I'll tell you a quick backstory. When I was asked to do this show, the general manager at Voice America said, "What would you do a show on?" And I said 2 things. I said, one, business owners, to be successful, have got to think outside the box. They've got to be willing to consider new approaches, new relationships, new technologies. Got to be willing to evolve.
Yeah.
Secondly, I said, we got to link arms and do it together. And everything you're talking about, your business, both your business, your wife's business, do those 2 things as well as anything I can think of, right? They teach people new approaches that are proven, new to them, but not new to you. But they're proven principles, systems, strategies, and secrets, if you will.
Yes.
And they teach you how to not try to do it all on your own, right? If you do, you're never going to get there. That's why so many businesses go out of business. That's why so many never hit that 7-figure mark, because they're not willing to change, and they're trying to do it on their own. They're holding on to the control, and in the process, they're going to die broke, right?
Yeah.
And it is it's a really fascinating conversation. It is absolutely true, and you've seen it happen over and over again. So as you've built and sold these 6-7-figure companies, what's next for you? What are you most excited about?
Yeah, right now it's about our next phase in our life, even at this early age, I think, in our career, in our life. So I'm turning 49, right? I just turned 49. And it's contribution now. It's about how can we give back time, finances, everything. Our travels that we do, we spend about, right now, probably about, ever since COVID's reopened up, we spend about 8 months to 9 months out of the year traveling, learning, growing, but at the same time traveling to visit, family and friends. But at the same time, we're traveling to contribute, to try to give back where we can, financially, time, build a house, provide medicine, food, whatever it is, whatever resources that's needed that we can provide. That's our next step. So our big push is, how can we be even more successful so that we can give back more? That's it. Yeah. Right. That's our next life. So and we're even going to make it systematically where, sales that we make, a percentage that will actually go to places that doesn't even hit our bank account. There's a little sales come, we take it out and it goes right to a contribution. So that's one of the things that we're going to be starting to really structurally and systematically make. This summer, our whole goal is to systematize that part as well.
Right. Well, you spoke earlier about how the truly successful people are very humble. They're very open. They're not the celebrity Hollywood types who you can't talk to and have, their nose in the air. They are servants, right? They give back. They pay it forward. They're looking for ways to not just make money, but make a difference and leave a legacy.
100%.
You guys are doing exactly that. So I know you have a special offer for the listeners. You want to talk a bit about that? We're coming up on the end of the show here.
Yeah, so our signature program, if you really want to build a business in 3 days, where you can leave with certainty, confidence, and everything like that, is our boot camp. But before the boot camp, so this way you at least know that I know what I'm talking about, that I can actually teach you. I want to offer you a free training. It's an on-demand training. The link that Patrick has there, go watch it. Click on the link, register it. You'll be able to watch it. It's about an hour and a half, 90 minutes. And you're going to get so much value that you literally can, after that training, know exactly what you actually need to do to build and launch your business, whether you're a coach, a consultant, course creator. And then after that, if you watch that, if you feel like you want to move forward and attend our boot camp, you guys are going to get a special offer as well. So when you scroll down on the page after the training, you'll see our special offer just for you guys. just for you. It's like 50% off of our normal price, and that's designed just for you guys because you're listening here with Patrick.
That's very generous of you, Cease. I appreciate that.
Yes.
That link is in the episode description, guys. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and click on there. It's a free chance to see what Cease is talking about and get a good sense of what his full academy or boot camp is all about. How can they get a hold of you, Cease? What's the best way to reach out to you? Just on your website, or?
Yeah, I mean, really going there and watching the free train is the best thing for you, because in this way, if I deliver value to you there, then you can move forward and attend one of our boot camps and meet me there live and in person, right? And we do virtual boot camps, and we do some in-person boot camps. So you can come to either a virtual one or an in-person one. That's really the best way, Fran, because I don't even deserve your time unless I've added value to you. If you feel that the value is there, then we can extend and build a relationship after that. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Cease, thanks for being here, everybody. Certainty is out there to find. You can find it. We'll help if we can. Cease and his team will as well. So have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Finding Certainty. We hope you've gained some more insight into how to create more certainty in your own business or nonprofit. Join us next week for another taste of the Certainty Experience. Until then, we wish you greater certainty in all that you do.